This charred fragment of parchment is all that separates this story from oblivion. In 1731, when the Cotton Library was consumed by flames, someone, at the very last moment, threw this manuscript out of a window. If not for that single act, the world would have never known the name Beowulf. Today, we open this text to witness the story of Europe's first hero, exactly as it was heard 1,000 years ago in the mead halls of warriors.
Our story begins in Denmark with a great king, Hrothgar. At the height of his power, his armies victorious, his treasury overflowing, he ordered the construction of a grand hall. He named it Heorot, the Hall of the Heart, a towering wooden structure lined with gold from within. Every night, music thundered through its walls, mead flowed like rivers, and warriors swore eternal loyalty. But wherever laughter is loudest and lights burn brightest, something dark always awakens.
From the marshes, foul, poisonous, wrapped in decay, came Grendel. No one knew his origin, an eternal outcast, tormented by the joy of others, burning with envy of their happiness. And he came to destroy it. The first night, he stormed Heorot and dragged away 30 warriors as they slept. The next night, more and more. For 12 long years, this nightmare endured. Each night after sunset, Heorot stood empty. But the worst part was not his cruelty. It was this: he could not be killed. Swords slid off his skin like stone. Blades dulled without leaving a mark. A monster, immune to steel.
King Hrothgar fell into despair. And then, from across the cold North Sea, came Beowulf. From the land of the Geats, with 14 loyal warriors. Young, broad-shouldered, with the strength, they said, of 30 men in his hands. Hrothgar welcomed him with hope. Beowulf listened about the invulnerable skin, the useless swords, the 12 years of terror. And then he made a decision that even his own warriors called madness. If steel is useless, then he would not use it. He would face Grendel with his bare hands.
Night fell over Heorot. Warriors lay on the benches, pretending to sleep. Beowulf waited. And then the doors exploded open. Grendel entered like a storm. He seized a warrior, tore him apart before he could even wake, then reached for another. And suddenly, something grabbed him. An iron grip. It was Beowulf. He held him and did not let go. Grendel thrashed wildly. The hall shook like in a tempest, but Beowulf's grip never weakened. For the first time in his life, Grendel felt fear. He pulled away. Beowulf pulled back. And then, with a horrifying crack, bone tore from socket. Grendel fled, howling in agony, back into the marshes, leaving behind his entire arm in Beowulf's grasp. Soon after, the monster died in his lair. By morning, Grendel's arm hung beneath Heorot's roof. The Danes celebrated, mead flowed, Hrothgar wept with joy. Gold was poured upon Beowulf. It seemed the worst was over. But the next night, his mother came. If Grendel was driven by hunger, she was driven by revenge. She tore her son's arm from the hall, killed Hrothgar's closest advisor, and vanished into the night. More dangerous, more cunning, and said to wield dark magic. Beowulf stepped forward once again.
They found her lair, a lake deep within a dark forest, its surface boiled with black, unnatural liquid. Creatures without names crawled along its shores. Beowulf put on his armor and plunged in. At the bottom, a strange blue fire burned. In its light, he saw a vast underwater cave, and there, Grendel's mother, waiting.
The fight was brutal. Beowulf drew his blade, Hrunting, a legendary sword. He struck once, twice, again. Nothing. The blade left no mark. Her enchanted skin rejected steel, just like her son's. She overpowered him, drew a dagger, and in that moment, it seemed Beowulf's story would end. But then, he saw it. A massive sword, forged by giants, so ancient its origin was lost to time. He seized it with both hands. One strike, and her head fell. Then he beheaded the corpse of Grendel as well. But the moment the monster's blood touched the blade, the metal began to melt. So corrosive that within minutes the entire sword dissolved, leaving only the hilt.
Beowulf rose to the surface. The Danes had already lost hope. Some had left, but his loyal warriors remained. And then, from the dark waters, he emerged, alive, holding the giant's hilt and Grendel's head. Years passed. Beowulf returned home to the land of the Geats and became king. For 50 winters he ruled wisely, justly, the kind of king songs are written about, even in his lifetime. But time is the most patient enemy of all. One day, a fleeing slave stumbled upon an ancient burial mound and stole a golden cup. He did not know it belonged to a dragon. The dragon awoke. Its rage spread like wildfire. Villages burned. Fields turned to ash. Homes collapsed into embers. By dawn, half the kingdom was gone. The old king stood at his hall, watching the smoke choke the horizon. He knew this would be his final battle.
11 warriors followed him, but when the dragon appeared, 10 fled into the forest. Only one remained, a young warrior, Wiglaf. Together, they faced the beast. Beowulf's sword could not pierce its scales. It shattered. Wiglaf rushed to help. In the final clash, Beowulf slew the dragon, but he was mortally wounded. Poisoned fangs pierced his neck.
As he lay dying, Beowulf asked Wiglaf to bring him the treasure. He wanted to see it, not out of greed, but to know his people would be safe. And then he died. They buried him on a high cliff by the sea. For 10 days, his funeral pyre burned. The Geats, filled with grief and shame, buried the treasure with their king, so that it would never again bring suffering to the living. And so ends the Song of Beowulf, the hero who faced monsters, avenged wrongs, and died protecting his people, leaving behind only smoke, sorrow, and legend.